What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I'm getting South Park Snow Day. This is a video series I do where I look at an upcoming game and discuss whether I'm getting it, not getting it, or I'm somewhere in between. And you know what? Even though they haven't shown next to nothing, there's been very little on South Park Snow Day, but I'll be honest with you. With what they have shown, the game looks really good. I think the type of game and what the game is trying to be looks good. Comes out at a pretty busy period. These are all things I want to talk about in this video, but this is a day one buy. I'm really excited for it, and I'm just excited for another South Park game. Now, I've said this before actually in the past. I'm not even a massive, I've seen episodes here and there. I wouldn't call myself a diehard fan of South Park in general. I respect the show. I think it is genuinely funny. And one thing I will say though is the two other games, right? So Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole. Those are gems. Those are really good games. And although, this is kind of positioned as the sequel or, the ending of the trilogy to that. It definitely seems like it follows that timeline, let's say. It's not obviously in the same style. I really want another game in that style. I will continue to wait. But again, I think for what this game is, it's kind of genius because it kind of goes into everything else, right? Comes out March 26th. Now that's just 4 days after the doubleheader really of at least the first couple months, Rise of the Ronin and Dragon's Dogma 2. Now I bring that up because I'm getting both of those games as well, but each of them are, you think about all three of those games, they are pretty different. And South Park, gotta be real, South Park is probably easily the most different of those three. It is a lot cheaper. I believe this game is only $30, right? If you do the collector's edition, obviously it's much more, but $30, cooperative or single player. So you can play it by yourself. And the way they describe it, and I don't know this for sure, so don't quote me on this. It sounds like you can literally play it by yourself, no bots, nobody else, right? Or you can play it with up to 4 people, so you and 3 friends. And the reason I word it like that is you have Gotham Knights or Suicide Squad, right? Suicide Squad, you can play it with 3 friends, or bots have to be part of it. So it's you, and then it has to be 3 other bots with you. It doesn't sound like it's like that for South Park. It sounds like you can just do it by yourself, and there'll be nobody else there. You're just taking out the enemies alone, or it'll be you and friends. So, I think, honestly, I start there, and I think that could be the most important. Price is important to a lot of people, and I think that's very fair. It's half the price of, even normal sometimes it's 70 at this point, right? So it's less than half of the price there. And then also cooperative. And, for as much as I do, and I'm not trying to be a old South Park game elitist, okay? I think they're amazing games, but I'm not trying to say oh, I need this game to be like that. No, I'm fine with what this game is, and I'll keep wishing for a third game in that style. If we don't get it, we don't get it. If we keep getting more of these games, fine. I honestly don't care too much about it. But I think the cooperative element is really smart because that sets it up for something that you really don't have. Number one, there's not an infinite amount of co-op games out there, right? They are, I guess, somewhat at least rare. But also, 2, in the South Park universe, that makes it pretty darn special. And another thing I'd like to bring up is the South Park kind of vibe to it. Now, that should be obvious, but I guess what I mean, right? Although it's not the third game in that, trilogy, per se, it definitely seems like it's keeping up with all that we know. So characters, the comedy, and that's what I have, I think, the most confidence in. Even though I don't think the comedy or the story is necessarily front and center. In fact, gameplay, I think, is gameplay and cooperative elements seems to be at the forefront this time, right? More than in the past. And that's okay. I think that's fine. But I think what could be maybe even underrated when the game comes out could be that story, what's kind of going on in the background, and then the comedy here and there, or even just small little things that characters maybe say as you're battling, right? That could be pretty funny. That's something maybe people don't even think of. So I'm excited for that for sure. And then honestly, the gameplay itself. Now here's the thing. This is what I said in the very beginning of the video. We really don't have a lot. Now, I will clarify, I'm recording this on February 27th, And I have been told by a close friend of mine too that kind of knows THQ, this is the norm. This is absolutely the norm for what they do, and I think you can kind of spot it as well, right? But we have very limited info on this game. We have just a few trailers that are, some of them are under a minute long, and the game comes out in less than a month, even when I'm recording this. Now, it's possible as the month of March goes on, we'll start getting more and more and more. I kind of want uncut gameplay. Like, just give me a match. Give me one match, 10, 15 minutes, and just show me from beginning to end how a mission goes. Now, we got a little bit of that in trailers. In fact, the Nintendo Direct one does show you, it shows you kind of like not in the main menu, but you see like the cosmetic screen, but you also see some things like in the tabs. So you have that. And then we did get, I would say, maybe the best look of the pure gameplay, but only like 5-10 seconds of snippets in that Nintendo Direct trailer, right? But third person camera's kind of like higher and like hovering a little bit more than you would imagine for a third person. And, I always brought up Fat Princess. Now, I'm sure there's other games in that genre. I kind of grew up, or when I first got the PS3, I should say, like that Fat Princess was an amazing game, an amazing franchise, and I'll always remember that combat style, and this always reminds me of that. So I'm in. I think the combat looks really fun, and there's room to have some depth there, but the gameplay obviously is going to be important. And again, hopefully that kind of surprises too, because I'm not expecting anything like revolution. When I think of gameplay in that span of time, I actually do think of like Rise of the Ronin's gameplay really stands out. Dragon's Dogma's gameplay really stands out. This gameplay is different, and it is unique, and again, the cooperative elements, but it seems like it could fall into a more like generic kind of thing, but it doesn't have to. And I think it probably won't, because I don't know. I just feel so far when we've gotten South Park games, they're at a very high bar, and I think a higher bar than we could have ever hoped for, right? Oftentimes when this kind of thing happens, you're not guaranteed a really good game. In fact, you're probably guaranteed a really bad game. So I'm happy with what we've gotten so far. I think this game is going to probably surprise. I feel like, and I'm looking at the trailer, yeah, I kind of feel like it's going under the radar. I don't think it's got like the most views in the world. The other two games were, I would, at least in my metric, they were extremely popular. So I don't know. Again, factually, it does come out at a pretty rough time. The end of March, for whatever reason, every game wants to release there. That doesn't really make sense to me. All of March is kind of dead, and all of April, except for Stellar Blade at the end of the month, all of April is dead. So I don't know why all these games have to come out, honestly, in the same week as they all come out within like a 7-day stretch. So will it struggle? Honestly, I don't think so. I think it might struggle to kind of like stand out maybe online, maybe viewer. But you know what? Could actually go the opposite way, because it is unique, because of the comedy, because of the style. I actually think it could stand out online. And then again, for it being half the price, and I think that could really help it like online, like on Twitter, right? If people say, hey, you want to play just this fun little game you can play with other people, the game's this amount of money, or maybe even goes on sale, it drops even further. I think that could really, really help the game. So we'll see. I think this game is going to be successful, and I think this game might actually surprise some people. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and hope to see you all on the next one.